Okay, so first thing I'm going to do, pretty obvious, is I'm going to rinse off the whole exterior of the car, and then we'll prep our stripping agent, our stripping solution. My wand, again, I have the brand new prototype wand. The other wand I left at the garage, so we're just going to wash it with a short gun, so I'll show you a little different process. Normally I would have my 20-degree wand to rinse, but this will do just fine. So you can see where a wand would be much better, help it reach out. So I'm using regular tap water, not deionized water. It's kind of a waste to use DI on this test. My truck's dirty, so the overspray won't matter. So let's prepare our citrus wash here in our bucket and our foam cannon. So I'll always start out, whether I'm doing a regular wash or a decon, getting my bucket ready to go. So I'll start filling up my rinse bucket, and then I'll come, while this is filling up, I'll usually go fill up my foam cannon real quickly. Almost always forget this is running, and then it starts spewing water everywhere. Then come out here, rush out here, turn it off, yell at myself for forgetting. Yeah, but that's my general process, general procedure. Look how awesome this thing is. Oh man, so cool. I promise you I'm gonna work on this really soon. This stainless line that we use as a bucket filler. I even think it might make sense to do, this is 3/4 inch, maybe even do a 1/2 inch. I don't know. I'm digging this though, I'm telling you guys. It looks a little different in person than it does on camera or in photos, but it's pretty incredible. I've got to source a really good fire hose nozzle. I don't know if anybody makes them anymore. This is a really old Adams source nozzle. Of course, Pre-A hose bib. Chemical Guys citrus wash in a MTM foam cannon. This is an Adams funnel. Just had some soap caked on here. So I'm going to put 150 mLs of soap in the foam cannon. Again, this is a great product. This is not the same as Clean Slate. This is not the same as whatever they're calling their new clear citrus wash. This is a different product that they don't stock anymore, which is crazy because it's the best product they got. It's the only one from Chemical Guys that I use. And I was bringing it in, I was having them produce it for me, but for whatever reason they stopped making it. Or it's not that they stopped making it, they just stopped helping me make it, get it made. Here's a brand new Incredipad XL. So we've got 150 mLs. Let me put a little bit more just to get over the line. There's 150 mLs of soap. And I'm going to put some soap on our pad. This will go in our wash bucket. So I'm going to put another couple of ounces. Since you're deconning once a year, maybe once every 9 months, I always find myself I'm okay with using a little bit more soap. So I'm going to go put this in the bucket. I normally like to keep a 16-ounce bottle. So we'll just take our funnel and we'll throw it in our wash bucket so I don't want to waste any soap. But I normally like to keep a 16-ounce bottle, or actually, if I had a choice, a 32-ounce bottle of the product instead of dealing with the gallons. And I find it strangely satisfying to go back and refill my 32-ounce bottles. You know what I'm saying? You know, topping it off with some car wax or whatever product I'm using. What are you guys doing? You sneaking on me? So I'll fill it about a little bit less than 3/4.
Wait, I need to go back to get
Mix it up.
Okay, go there. Okay, are you coming?
What are you guys up to?
No, we're going.
I'm gonna do some foaming.
What's foaming mean?
You know when we make the bubbles, the soap everywhere?
I went to... Are you washing Grandpa's car?
Yep.
Why?
Because it needs to be cleaned up. All right, so let's foam it. Foaming the car is pretty simple. we want to cover the whole surface. Let it run, let it sit. I do not, we've gone through this debate over and over again, but I do not rinse the foam off. I leave the foam on.
What's foaming mean?
This is foaming.
With a red thing?
Uh-oh.
What is that?
That isn't good.
What is that, Dad?
Doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. My freaking hands are all soapy. I can't hold on to it. Interesting. There's a
What do they have?
metal stop in the back of this quick disconnect. They won't allow it to go in far enough. See that metal stop in the back there? This is why we do. This is why I test things, because this quick disconnect, this new quick disconnect, doesn't accept the 1/4-inch plug.
Scorpion. Oh my, there's a scorpion. Oh my God, there's a baby scorpion.
Don't let them get you.
I killed him
Oh, good job.
with the flashlight.
Let's try this again.
You can open when I do
Interesting that Euro spec
it.
nozzle on the front of the gun is too shallow to fit the plug, right? So figures I have hundreds of these things, if not 1,000 of these things at the garage, and I don't have one here. So anyway, I had to take apart the gun. I also have hundreds of guns at the garage, and I have the only one that I brought here was the prototype, because I thought the prototype was good to go. Well, that's why we test this stuff. So, just like normal, cover the whole car in soap. I just like to use this as a stripping soap. It doesn't leave as much residue behind as Dawn. And I like how it foams really well and lubricates the surface really well for washing. It also does well to be used as like a coating refresher too. You know, it won't strip a coating, but it will strip this colonite off the car, or at least a good chunk of it. And whatever we don't get with this, we'll get with the auto scrub. Just cover the whole surface, and by the time we get over and fill up our wash bucket, we'll be ready to go. I'll take the remainder amount and dump it in the bucket. All right, so let's prep our wash bucket up here and dump the remainder amount. So we're gonna have a whole lot of soap in our main wash bucket. Out the remaining in the foam cannon.
Just do one for me.
Take our bucket filler. Make it happen. The reason we put the soap on the wash pad, we'll put the remainder, I put it on the wash pad so I don't shoot it out the bucket. And we'll rinse this off. Such a good soap. I don't know why they would discontinue it. Okay, and now we go and do our normal wash. Credit Pad XL, normal washing procedure. Now again, we're going to polish the car, but we still don't want to introduce scratches if we can help it. That just means that it'll be more aggressive polishing. So we're going to wash it just like normal. Flipping the pad. And again, since we're doing a decon here prior to polishing, I'm a little less concerned, and I might do a little bit larger areas, but I'm still going to use some care. The car still has quite a bit of funk left over from the transport down here. stuff has a very interesting feel on your hands. You can tell it's very different. Nothing special about this procedure other than, you know, top-down cleaning. Work your way across the whole car. Get it clean. Don't get too aggressive with bugs and things like that. We can address that as part of the drying and claying process. There's a film of funk on this thing from the transport down here, because we knew we'd be doing this decon. So we're moving into OGHQ for the past month. We just haven't had time to mess with it. I've been wanting to shoot a new series with all the current products and just get out in the garage and do what I love doing. The new version of the Incredipad, this is, I guess, version 1.1, which is the only version now. It's a little bit heavier. This is the first time I've used it. I've had sold probably a couple thousand of them. Had them, but I hadn't actually used one of the newest ones. So this is my first time using it. It is a little bit more contourable. Seems to be holding a little bit more soap too. I like that. But it's still, you know, these pads can get really heavy. You know, this uses viscose, V-I-S-C-O-S-E, viscose, instead of all microfiber. This microfiber holds a ton of water, and so the other material combined with the actual foam inside of this, the balance of this is way better and has been, my guess, significantly heavier tested by the guys at Microfiber Madness than any other option on the market. It's most expensive by a long shot, but I think it's the best. So that'll do the cleaning part. Just take my buckets, dump them. Rinse them out a little bit. Although not brutal, still not super soft on your hands in comparison to other regular pH neutral soaps. So from this step on, I'm going to use deionized water, because then we're going to be dealing with longer times where the water's sitting on the paint. Dang, what a lot of soap sits in there. That channel there, the rain channel. Yeah, I need my wand. This is annoying. Now I know why I like my 20 degree or my slightly bent 20-inch wand. So now notice the water isn't sheeting, or it isn't beading, it's just sitting. It's not sheeting either. Just sitting right on the paint. Part of it is going to be soap residue left over. Part of it is the citrus, you know, the basic nature, the basic pH balance, or lack of pH balance, I should say. The fact that it's a basic chemical makeup means that we're going to strip off some of the wax, hopefully most of it, in preparation for the rest of our decon process. So again, I'm going to use deionized water I don't know, it just feels better to have mineral-less water while I'm doing these critical cleaning steps. We don't have to obsess about getting all the soap off because we're about to spray it with some iron out. All right, next, really probably one of the simplest steps of the process is to do Iron X. I like CarPro Iron X. Iron X is Iron X. I don't know, I like their bottles and I like the company and I like the people here in America. Corey's a great dude and this is is a good product, does the job. And so one thing that you could do, depending on how bad you think the car is and how much iron you're gonna have, you could dry it or blow the car off and wipe it off. I'm not gonna worry about that. I doubt we're gonna have a ton of iron. The car's 8,000 miles on it. My dad's already done iron removal before. So, and we really won't be able to tell because this plasma color is already purplish, plasma blue. I think I can call it plasma purple. Is already pretty purple. It's safe to use this on pretty much anything. Trim, glass. I don't hit the trim specifically, but if you get overspray on it, I don't think it matters. Another thing you could do, which I'm not going to do on this car, I'm just going to soak it really well, is you could come back with a microfiber towel and just gently drag it across to make sure you get good even coverage. This sprayer atomizes pretty well. By the way, this smells like death. This is the part that stinks in your wheel cleaner. And you'll use a good 20 ounces or so. So this is one of those products that you need a gallon. Have a 32-ounce bottle and a gallon to support it, and you'll be good to go. But on a white car, if you had lots of rail dust, if you like Chevys that come on rail from Mexico up through Texas, like Michelle's Tahoe had a ton of iron on it. You could do the wheels too. I don't really need to because I just cleaned it with a iron removing wheel cleaner. So that's the process. So if you're out in the sun, you don't want to let this dry. There's a little iron right there. You definitely don't want to let this dry on the car. I don't know what would happen, but don't try it. Yeah, I mean, you can see some. You can't see the normal purple runs, but there's definitely some on here. So the basic premise here is that your clear coat is porous, right? And there are little holes and little cracks and crevices that are microscopic you can't see. Well, as water's running down the car, you get things like brake dust in the air, or rail dust from if you're near rail, rail tracks or near a railroad, and it, as it's sliding off the paint with the water, it'll grab and hook onto a clear coat and embed in the surface. And so we don't want that there. I don't know how much it really hurts with clarity and depth of the paint, but what I don't want is I don't want to dislodge that on my polisher and start grinding around some metal, right? And then I might have a hard time getting the paint to correct out. So this isn't going to strip your wax. It isn't going to. That's not what it's designed for. It may do some of that. This isn't an end-all be-all for stripping the surface. What it's designed to do is get that and chemically break down. We call this chemical decontamination. We would chemically break down the stuff that's embedded in the surface of the paint in preparation for our clay bar, which is going to be our next step. So let's rinse this off. So I'm still using DI water because next we're going to do a clay. This is where I do want to rinse the car pretty well, get this stuff off of it. Rinse it even a little better than I did when I was dealing with the soap. So notice the water's just sitting there, just parked, sitting right on the surface. I would bring you in close up with the camera, but there's nothing you can see. So on this blue purple paint, not much of a help to get you in closer to it. So that's what we would refer to as chemical decontamination. Right? We're chemically removing the iron that's embedded in the paint. Now we're going to go to actually decontaminating by touching the paint. This is the next step that we'll want to make sure we're using a lubricant. You could use soap and water. I like using a dedicated lubricant, less chance of marring and damaging the paint, scratching the paint. We're going to polish it anyway, but I don't want to, anytime I have the chance to not mar it, I want to do that. So I'm going to get that ready and we'll come back out here in a second. All right, next step in the process is mechanical decontamination. I'm going to show you how to mix this up in a little bit because I only have a little bit left. But I only like to mix it when the bottle's empty so that I can dilute it properly. But there are two ways to do this. I use a combination of both. One is to use a newer technology. This is a nanoskin auto scrub. Lots of companies have it. I think this is the best. This is the original. I think it's the best option. You know, Sonax, lots of companies have some variant of this. I think this is the best one. And then we have a 6-inch pad. You could put this on your polisher. I prefer to use it on Nanoskin sells their own little pad. I have these in the store. I like this for doing the hood and the bigger surfaces. I think it's much faster than using a machine. Machine is a little less labor intensive, but I think I can get the car done quicker this way. And then the sponge, which I actually probably half the time end up ditching this and using this for most of the process. I only find the need to use the fine version, the more aggressive versions. I mean, I guess if you had a really messed up car, I just don't see the need. These get the job done really well. And then of course we have our traditional clay, right? This is Optimum Clay, which I have in the Obsessed Garage store. They send two giant pieces of it. I'm gonna pull off and have just a small piece about, looks like I had one pulled off before, about yay big, maybe a little bigger depending on how much of the car you're gonna do. But you could do some combination of the three, or the three different, the clay, the little sponge, and the big. On this car, because it's in good condition, not a lot of contaminants, I'm probably not even gonna need the clay bar. I'm gonna use simply my nanoskin, my nanoskin auto scrubs, and then my nanoskin glide, which again I'll show you when we run out of this bottle here. I'm gonna show you how to mix this up. You dilute it 7-to-1. But always start, I can never remember when I got my sponges, so I just make it a practice. I always start on the glass. And I always spray my sponges. I keep this in my left hand, with this in my right. I'm right-handed. This is gonna get messy. That's why it doesn't really make sense to dry the car off before doing this. And I'm gonna go, watch stickers, don't hit them. And do my thing. Always like to do it back and forth. So, you can debate this if you want, but technically speaking, when you do this, you should be polishing the car afterward. I'm sure you could use some more care and hopefully not damage and mar up the paint too badly. I think the darker the color, the more you're gonna have to go and polish the thing. And it certainly doesn't mar it up, at least in my experience, enough to need to compound it. If the car needed to be compounded, it needed to be compounded before you did this. But in order to really get the car to shine the way you'd want, if you're going to do this mechanical decontamination, I think you're going to want to polish the car. It's going to be part of the process. So again, I'm going to do all the glass first. We'll come back and do the paint. Let me bring you in a little closer here. Haven't been doing a good job with the camera. I'm telling you, you guys keep buying Obsessed Garage gear. I'm going to be hiring a cameraman soon. We'll get the best darn angles on the planet, instead of me doing this all by myself. So the sponge allows us to get up in the cracks a little bit easier. I have decided, after trying a bunch of other glass products, I'm going to call up Wolf's. It's going to be a real pain in the rear to get the stuff over here from Hungary, but I'm going to bring in Glass Guard. Give me some time, but I'm gonna make it happen. So the premise of doing the glass first is you want to break in the pad. You're basically getting the little, I guess you're taking the first little layer of whatever protectant they put on it to ship it. And this is the part when my dad's watching, I'm going to allow him to come in and help. You can use a detail spray, you can use soap and water. I like to use this Glide. It's been designed to work with this, so it just makes sense to me to use this for how it was intended. This will do it. We'll go mix up some Glide. I just realized that I'm talking in a very presenter-like tone instead of my normal just talk at you. I'm gonna stop doing that. I don't like that. And this process of claying is not always necessary. In fact, I mean, we could probably get by without it, but it's going to take me 15 minutes to do it, so why not? That's the way I look at it. I sprayed the mirror over there, but I forgot to do it. So let's go mix up some Glide, and then we'll come back and do the paint. So we want this 7:1. There's a little bit left in here, so I'm just going to dump it on the hood. I just went over there and dumped it on one. Figured my bottle doesn't have 7:1 as an option. Always mix up chemicals. I stole that from my friend Larry Cosilla. Well, we can get a funnel, but we're going to go to roughly here. Our Glide. This stuff is pretty inexpensive. Makes quite a bit of product because it comes as a concentrate. Reminds me of windshield cleaner that I don't like to put in my windshield. So I'm gonna go fill this up to the line with water. So let me knock out the fender here. You can't use too much product, like it's not possible. All right, just get it on the surface. Get the surface corrected, or I guess not corrected, but decontaminated, move on. If you drop this on the ground, go wash it off. Another thing that a lot of people like to do is they like to take this, dunk it in a bucket, kind of rinse it off. On this car, the amount of dirt that's on it really won't matter. I generally like to go one direction and come back another. And that's the procedure for mechanical decontamination. We're going to go through, finish the rest of the car, do the headlights, the taillights. The trim, this doesn't work on. Porous trim, this trim it will. So we'll go do that. Oops. Come back to you, finish up the decon process. All right, so we're decontaminated. And we're going to rinse it, blow it off, and dry it for tomorrow's taping and beginning assessing the paint for polish. So whatever little bit of wax or sealant was left over, we probably pulled it 90% off with the auto scrub. So obviously blowing the car off isn't going to be as effective because we don't have any protection left on the surface. The other test you want to make sure as you're decontaminating it, you want to, at this point, if you ran your hand across, we don't want to be feeling, there shouldn't be anything, it should feel very smooth, almost make you want to just wrap it up, wax it right now, because we've gotten all the contamination out of the paint. And now the next step is going to be to jewel it up. So let me go get I'm going to go get my blower and I'm going to blow it off. We'll towel dry it off, and then we'll finish up tonight. So this is the very first, highly marketed product. Normally this kind of stuff is junk. I've said this a bunch, but this thing is pretty legit. What the heck was that? Was that a frog or was that a rat? Living out here in the woods is crazy. There's a giant locust up there. Anyway, this Ego thing's pretty legit. I like this thing. I know lots of you have been telling me to buy this for a long time, but it's good. Very different than the other, highly marketed products that, this is a good quality product. And, it's $350 plus the other batteries, another $200, so it's an expensive product. Not that you have to spend money, but sometimes you have to to get a quality product. So notice blowing it off is kind of pointless. The main reason why I want to dry it tonight, we could just let the water sit here because it's deionized water. The main reason why I want to do this is I want to get the jambs clean, so that way, because we'll probably polish the door jambs as well. So I want to wipe off the car. We don't want to use any kind of drying aid, and I want to get the door jambs clean. So let's get set up for that. So these are the times having the big drying towels come in handy. And I know all you guys love your twist loops. I don't like them. I like this better. And I'm just going to kind of push some water around. Just want to get the bulk of it off the car. So we're going to go over. It's hard to dry it because, it's literally like, I'm like in a pool right now of sweat from humidity. It rained. So we're just sitting in funk right now. But these large drying towels come in handy for this application, or if you're claying dry, meaning you're not doing it when the car's wet. So we're going to go and dry the car and do the jambs here. I'll come back to you and show you the jambs here in a second. This is very dissatisfying when you're drying a car with no protection. You're just pushing water around, especially when it's this humid. But I want to come in and clean the door jambs, my new door jamb towel. So jambs, especially like now, we're not using any drying aid. We don't have any lubrication. This is generally going to be one of the dirtiest parts of the car right here, right on your footwell. So I'm going to take very gently, no pressure, and just do a swipe. Flip the towel, do another swipe, take another clean towel, and I'll come and dry it the rest of the way. I definitely like these new. These Eagle 350s are perfect for this application. I love this. Super absorbent. Not too thick like the regular Eagles. Love it. Just gonna go through and do the trunk, do the whole car, all the cracks and crevices this way. Again, I'm not so much worried about getting them dry for tonight. I mainly want to get them clean. So that's our decontamination process, right? We did the wheels, tires, wheel wells, cleaned up the exhaust. Did the engine bay. Of course, in the engine bay I used Optimum, which I don't have in my store yet. I'll have to get that soon. Optimum APC, just use an all-purpose cleaner, a couple of brushes to agitate. If it's really dirty, you might want to do the wheels and engine bay day one. If you have multiple cars, sometimes the engine bay can take a while. My dad's car was pretty clean. So wheels, engine bay, then we're going to treat the paint, right? So the first step was to use Chemical Guy Citrus Wash. I hope to have that again soon. I'm trying to buy 55-gallon drums of it so I can just bottle it myself and take them out of the equation. It'll be a lot easier for them to ship it to me. So we did wash with citrus wash, of course, after a normal rinse. Washed it using Crediped XL, dual bucket method. Wash the car, rinse the car using deionized water. Then come back, do Iron X, Carpro Iron X to remove the iron from the paint. Let that sit for 5 minutes. Rinse it off again with deionized water. Come back again, do spraying auto scrub with the, or I guess it would be Nanoskin Glide on the surface using the auto scrubs. I use the fine version, the block and the hand pad. The nice thing about them, I'll just rinse them off and put them back in the cabinet to dry out, and they'll be fine. You can use them 100 times, 50 times. I still have my original foam block, which I bought I don't know how many years ago. And then from there, we dry the car off, clean up the jams, gonna let it sit overnight. And then tomorrow, we'll drive it over to HQ, make sure it's all dry, and then I'll start assessing the paint, taping, and we'll be starting the polishing process. So anyway, thanks for watching episode, whatever this is, episode 1 and 2. We'll see, I'll chop it up here. This will probably be episode 1. Thanks for watching. Check out the Obsessed Garage store for all this stuff that I'm using. If you want to do it my way, I have set it up so that it's easy to do. So anyway, Decon, this is the process, and I guess I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more crazy. What happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor, to the floor, to the floor.